Question number 2 coming up. This is it. If you're ready to go, ladies, this one's worth $150 too. Ladies, some experts say that the psychological differences between men and women are inborn. Good question. Now listen carefully. Others say that these differences are due to the way we're all brought up. Which do you think is more responsible for these differences? The differences being psychological differences between men and women. Think it over. It's a good question. We'll see in a moment. We answer these questions among ourselves backstage before we come out, you know, the staff, and we talk about them. And we got in a big, heated discussion about this. Whitman, how do you feel about it? Do you think that, which is more responsible for these differences in the psychological approach to men and women? And how is she going to answer it?
The two were, what were the two birds?
Well, some experts say that the psychological differences between men and women are inborn. Others say that these differences are due to the way we're all brought up. Which do you think is more responsible for the differences in the psychological approach of men and women? Psychological differences. Well, more importantly, what will Gail think?
I'm not sure what Gail would say, but I would say environment. I would say the way that we're brought up.
The way we're brought up. Wonder why the guys all yelled then. I really do.
It's a new breed out there. They know what's happening.
You'll say that those psychological differences are mostly... Now, that's what Gail, you think, will say.
That's what I think she should say.
Okay. You think she better say it. Okay, here she comes now. Gail, let me rephrase it for you in case you need it. The experts say that the psychological differences between men and women are inborn, while other experts say that these differences are due to the way we're brought up. Which do you think is more responsible for these differences?
I think it's the way we're brought up.
That's the one. You got it. As I said, you're absolutely right, and we had a discussion about this before the show, and Ellen just stuck her tongue out at me up there because we had a big discussion backstage about it. It's an interesting question. Orson, what will Carolyn say?
Inborn.
Inborn. Aha! Why? No, wait a minute. There's a good other side to this.
There is no sexist role-playing in our house. I do the vacuuming. We give dolls to our boys and hammers and baseballs to our girls.
Why not?
I wear an earring.
So let's see that. You've got one on, haven't you?
Yeah, she stuck it in there 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, I was drunk. I didn't know what hit me. Just put a hat pin through my ear. The point is that obviously there's a tremendous amount of environment. And little girls are taught that they're supposed to be shy and boys are supposed to be jocks. We got none of that in our house, and still the little girls come on like little coquettes and the boys are little jocks running around. So I don't know. All I know is that I think that's what she'll say based on our...
Based on your personal
for
experience.
entirely different reasons from what most people say.
You see, now there's a good example of that side of the question, and let's see if Carolyn agrees with you. I love it. Carolyn, the supposition is that some experts say the psychological differences between men and women are inborn. Others say the psychological differences are due to the way we're all brought up. Which do you think is more responsible for these differences? Inborn or the way we're brought up?
Well, I really don't know. Because I definitely think that there are a lot that are inborn, but I think that we make them even worse in the way we bring people up in our society.
So you will say that it's...
You had to ask it that way, right?
Yeah.
I will say that it's the latter.
The way we're all brought up. That's not what Orson said. Interestingly enough. You see, now?
Money isn't everything now. Don't let this...
But try to buy something without it is the old line.
We're in an environment here that's
yeah, no, see, it's a good question. Even husband and wives don't always agree. Wink, what was Sandy say?
I disagree with Orson, and I agree with Whitman, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
My wife, Sandy, comes from an Italian family.
Yes.
Now, there may be something to this inborn thing, but Italians are very strong, psychological or otherwise, you know. You mind the mama and the papa, or you get killed. That's very simple.
Right.
So I will go along with the...
That's one of the best Russian accents I've ever heard.
I was doing Eddie Regan that one. So I will go along with Whit.
What did Whit say?
I don't really know what Whit said, but I remember I agreed with him at the time.
You say
it's not inborn, it's the other
the way we're brought up.
The way we're brought up, the environment, yeah.
Okay.
Right? They agree. Everybody agrees with it. Everybody in the blue section agrees.
You see, well, I shouldn't butt in with my own feelings, but I know that what Orson says to me makes some sense too, because women have maternal instincts. I don't believe with it. I think those are inborn. Men are hunters, and you use the word jock, which means we tend towards physical hostility,
hunters.
which is the hunting urge. You know.
I hunted for this earring in every boutique.
Oh,
in
will you
Westwood.
stop it? All right, I'm going to get out of here as quick as I can. You're going to say, she will say, the way we're brought up. Here she comes.
No doubt.
Sandy, which do you think is more responsible for these psychological differences between men and women? Inborn or the way we're all brought up?
Inborn.
No, that's not what Wink said.
Winston, why did you say that?
What was that, Sandy?
I don't know why he said that, because I would think there would have to be an unbalanced amount of hormones in order for the environment to affect the person.
Aha, a very clinical,
what I
good
think.
answer.
She's a hell of a lot smarter than I thought she
That's
was.
probably what it is. Sorry about that. Guess what? Gail and Whitman get the whole thing for the bananas. We will change places at halftime, gentlemen. Step to the rear. We'll bring the ladies out front, and we'll come back with the second half. And don't go away. We've got a good one today. Here we are. We have changed places after halftime. I have these beautiful ladies, and they are with me. Fellas, you got to play catch-up to Whitman. He's got most of the bread at this point. Here we go, fellas. Worth $150 on this one. Which would put you in a worse mood? To be deprived of food, sleep, or sex? Think it over. Not so easy. Off you go. Goodbye, fellas. Now, it's a rather interesting supposition. We'll start with you, Carolyn. Which would put Orson in a worse mood? To be deprived of food, sleep, or sex?
Such a tacky question.
Probably why we asked it.
Sex.
Sex would put him in a worse mood? Man
ask a
doth not
tacky
live
question, you get a
on bread
tacky
alone.
answer.
What was that?
If you ask a tacky question, you get a tacky answer.
Yes. Okay, really, you think so, huh? You think
I
that's
know
what...
so.
You know so. Sorry about that. Bring him on. Orson, which would put you in a worse mood? To be deprived of food, sleep, or sex?
See, you came back quick. I guess it didn't take her long to answer that question.
No, it didn't at all, as a matter of fact.
I sleep and eat in order to keep myself in shape for the one thing that I would be terrible. It would be terrible if I were deprived of.
That's the one. You got it. Oh, settle down, you maniacs over there. Sandy, what will Wing say?
Well, he's gone without sleep, and he's gone without food. He's never had to go without that, so
Without
I guess
what?
that's what, sex.
Oh,
That's
thank
what
you.
it-
I just wanted to hear her say it.
That's the biggest sex part on Sunset Boulevard.
Yes,
talking
that's
about.
right. You'll say sex is the one. Here he comes. Which would put you in a worse mood, Wink? To be deprived of food, sleep, or sex?
Well, there are two that I have been deprived of in the past, which makes you really wonder what I'm going to answer, right? I think that because on days when I don't have time to eat breakfast in the morning and I am in a lousy mood, I think that probably the answer to my question, or to your question, would be food.
No. No, but you're close. How about, what would be your second choice, Wink?
Sex.
That's it. But you're just a little bit wrong. Close.
Che la luna mezzo mare, mamma mia,
All right. Well, Sandy won't be putting a billboard up on Sunset very soon, I guess. Sorry about
We're
that.
not doing
for
too
sure.
well for the blue section.
Yeah, what would
Winston.
Whitman say to this?
I'm going to have to say food because Whitman, the only time Whitman gets grouchy is when he gets hungry and
Right.
he has to wait for his dinner.
Right. I know how he feels.
Okay?
Wait a minute, Blues. It's over for you. You'll say food. Let's see what Whitman says. Here he comes. Whitman, you're in the lead at this point. Which would put you in a worse mood, to be deprived of food, sleep, or sex?
Oh, wow. Bert, here we go. That's a loaded
Take it easy,
question.
Whitman.
It's loaded. Let me just try to phrase this way. Food comes in many forms.
Yes, true.
As a result of that, sex to me is spiritually food.
Yeah, so?
Sleep I can do without, so I think it would be food.
That's it. You got it. Woo! That means Gail and Whitman, Carolyn and Orson get it. They split the pot in half. We'll come back in a moment with a $300 question.